One of the things that's kind of difficult about this life is that you're constantly set apart. So people call you ma'am. No one's ever called me ma'am before this. I mean, frankly, no one ever called me Mrs. Vance before this.
Featuring Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, and Usha Vance, wife of Vice President J.D. Vance, has completely taken over the internet. What first appeared to be an emotional, heartfelt conversation between two women coping with loss has quickly become one of the most talked about clips in politics. Now, everyone's asking the same question. Was it a genuine moment of empathy or a carefully crafted move with bigger intentions? The reactions are split. Some see sincere grief and compassion, while others insist it's a calculated display of power and control. This video hasn't just sparked sympathy, it's ignited speculation about loyalty, image building, and subtle political maneuvering within America's most influential conservative circles.
Shared much of his life through his own eloquent words. In his book, Hillbilly Elegy, during his Senate campaign, and now as a sitting United States Senator, it occurred to me that there was only one thing to do: to explain from the heart why I love and admire JD and stand here beside him.
Erica and Usha's connection didn't materialize overnight. It grew quietly inside the same rarefied spaces where both women thrived, rooms filled with power, money, and conviction. They moved easily through the high-polished world of conservative influence, where speeches about faith, family, and unity echoed louder than most people's voices ever would. Beneath the surface, though, something more intricate was taking shape. Both women were more than symbols of grace. They were quietly assembling networks of influence that reached far beyond what the public could see. For years, Erica was the luminous presence beside Charlie Kirk, smiling for cameras at galas, leading fundraisers, and hosting Turning Point USA events with a poise that was both effortless and strategic. She was seen but never secondary. She stood beside her husband not merely as support, but as an extension of his movement's identity. Meanwhile, Usha Vance, equally poised but far more understated, was charting her own ascent. As the wife of rising political star J.D. Vance, she brought intellect, discipline, and quiet strength into spaces where ambition was currency. Their paths crossed often, first as acquaintances in a tight conservative orbit, later as something harder to define. To casual observers, their meetings were unremarkable: polite smiles exchanged across private tables, warm greetings at conferences, friendly nods at donor retreats. Yet, for those paying closer attention, there was a subtle tension that lingered behind their civility. Respect mingled with rivalry. Every exchange carried undertones of strategy, as if both women knew they were navigating not just relationships, but futures. The friendship that emerged between them was delicate, layered with empathy, mutual ambition, and perhaps a trace of calculation. In the world they inhabited, every gesture mattered, every handshake could redirect an alliance, every whispered word could change a political story. So when Erica Kirk and Usha Vance began appearing together more frequently, people noticed. What might have seemed like a simple friendship began to look like something else entirely, a convergence of two forces that could alter the very rhythm of conservative power. Because this wasn't just about camaraderie. It was about influence. Erica Kirk and Usha Vance's connection didn't fit the usual mold of political friendship. It wasn't built on gossip or casual brunches, it was forged in the crucible of purpose. Both women understood the weight of image, the currency of presence. They had spent years learning how to balance empathy with ambition, conviction with control. Every time Erica stepped beside Charlie at a rally or a fundraiser, she wasn't just there for moral support. She was an image of what the movement wanted to project, warmth wrapped in resolve. Every detail, from her composed smile to her color-coordinated outfits, was deliberate. Usha, on the other hand, represented the opposite kind of power: quiet, intellectual, strategic. She didn't need the camera's flash to make her influence felt. She moved like a shadow, measured, deliberate, and indispensable. Observers in those early years described their dynamic as something almost choreographed. There were no long conversations or overt shows of closeness, yet their goals seemed to align perfectly. The Vances saw the Kirks as a bridge into a younger, more energized conservative base, while the Kirks viewed the Vances as a symbol of credibility and long-term political reach. It was a partnership built on mutual advantage, access traded for influence, image balanced by intellect. At public events, they danced this unspoken waltz effortlessly. Photos captured the grace, but never the intent. Behind those poised smiles lay layers of unspoken understanding, the kind that only those immersed in politics could recognize. To outsiders, their friendship looked elegant. To insiders, it looked like power disguised as warmth. Before tragedy struck, both women had already solidified their positions. Erica was the polished heart of Turning Point USA, a symbol of faith, loyalty, and poise. Usha was the intellectual backbone beside one of the movement's most compelling rising figures. Together, they reflected the dual sides of modern conservative womanhood. Erica's public charisma mirrored Usha's quiet precision. They were, in many ways, the perfect balance of energy and control. Then everything changed. September 10, 2025. A date that split their world in two. Charlie Kirk had taken the stage in Utah for what was supposed to be another fiery campus event, a typical Turning Point rally filled with applause and conviction. Moments into his speech, he suddenly collapsed. The room fell silent, chaos erupted, and before anyone could fully comprehend what was happening, he was gone. The news spread across social media within minutes, then across the world. For Erica, time fractured. The image she had so carefully built, the composed face beside a powerful man, shattered in an instant. One moment, she was a partner in a political empire. The next, she was a widow facing cameras she could barely look into. Supporters flooded social media with condolences, but behind the digital sympathy was a brutal truth. She was now the face of a movement without its founder. And as she struggled to hold together her family, her faith, and the future of Turning Point USA, one person quietly stepped forward to steady her. Usha Vance. Usha's presence during those days wasn't loud or visible. She didn't rush to make statements or appear in interviews. Instead, she simply appeared, silently, steadily, wherever Erica needed her. Insiders recall her calm presence during those chaotic hours, helping manage logistics, comforting staff, and shielding Erica from the unrelenting media storm. When the plane carrying Charlie's remains landed in Arizona on September 11th, the nation watched as the two women stood side by side on the tarmac. Both dressed in black, both hidden behind dark sunglasses, their silence said everything words could not. Cameras captured the moment Usha reached out and took Erica's hand.